Hello dear students, this is Komila Mirani from KV number 3 Sagar. I welcome you to online classes conducted by Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan Jabalpur region for students sitting at home at this time. Today I have brought for you video lesson 3 of subject English core class 12 textbook Flamingo chapter number 3 Deep Water, that has been written by William Douglas. William Douglas was born in 1939 and he lived up to November 1975. He has got the record of serving as a Justice of Supreme Court for a record of 36 years and 209 days, which is longest for any justice in the Supreme Court of America. A very famous line or a thought or a proverb that has passed into coinage of English language, that was quoted by Franklin D. Roosevelt, the President of America, is the only thing we have to fear in life is fear itself. And this proverb is the key line or the key thought of this particular memoir, Deep Water, that has been written by William Douglas. William Douglas, if you have watched the first two videos of this lesson, you would be knowing that in this story, he records his childhood experience of being drowned in water. Now, what lesson did this drowning incident teach him? It taught him that death can be very peaceful. Only the fear of death is fearful, or it terrorizes us, it fills us with panic. So, he remembers the quotation of Franklin D. Roosevelt that the only fear in life is the fear of death, or fear. Any kind of fear is the biggest fear in life. So if we have the desire to live, if we have the willpower, we can overcome any kind of fear in life. Quickly, let us recapitulate the contents that I had delivered in part 2 of the video of this chapter. William Douglas was affected by the misadventure of drowning in the YMCA pool. When he couldn't get over the fear easily, so finally 1 year in the month of October, he decided that he would take services of a trainer. The trainer or the instructor attached a rope to the narrator's belt. The rope went through a pulley. He held it to the end of the rope and he went back and forth up and down the pool for weeks and months together. The instructor next taught him to put his face under water and breathe out or exhale, and then taught him to raise his nose and inhale. Next, he taught him kicking with his legs and hands. Finally, step by step, the instructor built a complete swimmer in Douglas, and he asked him to swim the whole length of the pool. Douglas was able to do it successfully, and thus the training of the instructor was finished. But Douglas did not feel that his training, his work was over. He still had a fear in his mind that when he would be alone in the pool, the fear would return. Now, the portion that we are going to do today is page number 28, last second paragraph onwards, and page number 29. A very little part of the chapter is left. This is the gist of what we are going to do today. Instructor's role, as I have already told you, in October, Douglas got an instructor for swimming. 3 months It took him to get over his fear. So his fear started fading in 3 months. Bit by bit, he started feeling comfortable in water. The instructor also taught him how to engage his feet and hands while swimming. After the instructor's work was done, Douglas started self-training and self-assessment. He started giving training to himself and then assessing or testing himself so that he could conquer the fear even to the last bit. So first he swam the whole length of the pool, same pool where he was taught. Then he went to the different rivers and lakes. He went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. He went to the Triggs Island. He went to the Stamp Act Island. He went to Titan River in the Conrad Meadows. He went to the Conrad Creek Trail in the Meade Glacier. He went to the Goat Rocks of the Warm Lake. So he went to different waters, different lakes in order to test himself whether he could swim in new waters without instructions or without any kind of help from his trainer. And finally, when he was able to do it, he conquered the fear of water forever. The writer, why was he able to do it? Because he was determined to conquer his terror. In the beginning, he took help from the swimming instructor to learn swimming. Instructor taught him various actions that are required for any learner of swimming. He put his face underwater, he would exhale, and then he would raise his face and nose above water, and then he would inhale. This he practiced for several weeks. He had to learn to kick with his legs for a few weeks on the side of the pool. At last, the trainer combined all these actions and made the writer swim. He learned swimming, but some vestiges, some parts, some bits of terror still continued to knock him down. So this is the effect of childhood experiences on our mind. The fear of fear is so much that it returns back every time. It is revived, and this affects life. Whenever the writer went into water again and again, every time a little bit of terror returned. So what did the writer do? He tried to terrorize fear or terror itself. He tried to face new challenges every day. When the fear would return, he would challenge the fear. He would satirically, he would question fear. He would say, "Mr. Terror, what can you do to me?" And then he would plunge into water again and swim the whole length as if he wanted to defy fear, as if he wanted to challenge it. Once he started taking courage, the terror vanished. He faced challenges deliberately again and again in various places, like the Warm Lake, like the Conrad Meadows. Finally, he was able to conquer his terror of water. Now, the experiences that the narrator has recorded in this memoir throw light on very important aspects of life. One important aspect is that the experiences that one has faced in childhood, whether it's of pain or whether it's of pleasure, they remain in the subconscious mind forever, and they keep on affecting our decisions. They keep on influencing our feelings till a later part of life. So the fear of water acted on the mind of the writer in this way. Even after he thought that he had become an expert in swimming, at least the trainer thought so, the writer felt that he wasn't confident enough, because tiny bits of fear would come back and they would make him weak. Sometimes again the paralyzing effect on the legs would be felt, though there was no reason for it all. He was now a master at swimming. He had been trained in a very effective way, so there was no reason to fear. Then also he would feel the fear. Gradually, with the help of his own strong qualities, courage, confidence, willpower, determination, he was able to conquer the fear of death as well as the fear of water. Once he realized that death cannot make us frightened, and that death is very peaceful, it's not at all frightening, he got over the fear of water. Now all these incidents, all these records show that most of the fears that we face in life, they are baseless. Fear creates dangers where there are actually none. It's our mind that creates dangers for ourselves. So once we get over the fear of death, we can easily get over the fear of anything. We can easily accept any kind of challenge in life. The writer's experiences confirm the proverb, a very important proverb. If you remember, I had written it in the description box of first video, that where there is a will, there is a way. So what does it say? That if we are determined, if we have that decision making power, if we are on to do something, there is always a path, there is always a road to it. No one can defeat us, no one can stop us from doing anything if we have got that willpower and determination to face any kind of challenge. Now let's have a look at the paragraphs line by line. Page number 28, the last third paragraph, there is a line, but I was not finished. The instructor's work was finished, but the author says that his work was not finished. Vestiges is a difficult word there. Vestiges means small bits, small parts or traces. William thought that he had not completely overpowered or conquered his fear till now. And there was still a question, a doubt in his mind that the fear would come back when he would be alone in water. So he decided to swim in the pool alone. The terror would return in small parts, in small phases, but now he knew swimming very well. He faced the fear with confidence, with determination, and he would swim another length of the pool. I've got a picture for you which shows different strokes in swimming. The other day I was talking about crawl stroke. So crawl stroke, butterfly stroke, side stroke. These are different strokes of swimming. In these pictures you can see the different strokes. Now this went on until July. The trainer or the instructor had finished his work in the month of April. Next 3 months up to July, the writer, he continued to swim in the same lake. William swam like this till the month of July. Still, there were some doubts in his mind. He wanted to be very sure that all parts of fear, even bit of fear, was not left. So he went to different water. Leaving that pool, he went to different waters. So he went to Lake Wentworth in New Hampshire. He dived into the lake. Diving is a kind of jumping into water. He dived into water from Triggs Island. He swam for 2 miles up to the Stamp Act Island. This is in Lake Wentworth. So he went to the Lake Wentworth. Where is Lake Wentworth? It's in New Hampshire. He dived into water from which place? From Triggs Island. Swam for 2 miles up to Stamp Act Island. He swam in different kinds of strokes, different kinds of styles. Crawl stroke, breaststroke, side stroke, backstroke. Crawl stroke, breaststroke, side stroke, backstroke. These are the different styles that he used in the Triggs Island in the Lake Wentworth to swim 2 miles. The terror did return. It was not that the fear did not return. The fear returned, but only once, when he was in the middle of the water. Now what happened in the middle of the swimming of this 2 miles? Suddenly he put his mouth, he put his face inside water. He saw water all around. And when he saw water all around, that yellowish tinge, greenish yellow tinge of water, he remembered that drowning incident, and this fear returned. But he was not weakened. He laughed at the terror and said that, "Mr. Terror, what can you do to me?" He challenged the fear, and soon the fear vanished, and he resumed his swimming. Still, some residual doubts were left. Page number 29. I am now on page number 29. Some residual means leftover, residue. When something is burnt, whatever is left is known as residue. For example, we burn coal or wood. The ash that is left is known as residue. So residual doubts were left. Even after swimming in the Lake Wentworth, he had some doubts left. So he went towards the west. He went to the Titan River. He reached the Conrad Meadows. What are meadows? Meadows are open grasslands, open areas of land where there is no development, no construction. Large open area is known as meadows. So he reached Conrad Meadows. He walked up the Conrad Creek. What is a creek? The gaps between the rocks, sharp rocks, they are known as creeks. So he walked up the creek tail and he reached Meade Glacier. And there he went and camped. He set up a camp and he camped at the meadow by the warm lake in the evening. That means he stayed for the whole evening, for the whole night there in the meadows beside the warm lake. Next morning he put on his swimming dress and he dived into the lake. He swam across the other end, and when he was able to swim successfully, he gave a big shout, a winning declaration kind of shout, and this when his echo was returned, because the area was surrounded by hills. So his echo was returned to him and he remembered the famous American sailor Doug Copron. William shouted with excitement, with happiness, with elation, with joy that he had been able to overcome or conquer his fear. His voice echoed back, it resounded, and the mountain peak, which is named as Gilbert Peak, returned his voice back to him. So he had overcome his fear. Now the very last paragraph of the chapter, this is the gist, this is the main theme. He says that this experience had a deep meaning for me. Now which experience? Experience from the beginning to the end, not the very last experience. It's the experience from when he had started learning at the YMCA, to when he was thrown into the pool, to when his life was affected, when he couldn't enjoy any water activity, to when he started learning swimming, and to when the instructor's work was finished, to when he trained and tested himself for months and months together. So this whole experience, he says, it had deep meaning for him. Deep meaning for him means it taught him big lessons in life. What does he say? He says that he had now realized that death is not at all fearful. When we are at a distance from death, when we can see death at some distance, we get frightened, we get terrorized, we start panicking. But when we go closer to death, a person who has experienced death, now William Douglas had experienced death from very close. He had almost accepted his death when he was drowning. So he says that he realized that death is very peaceful. There is no fear in death. It's just like sleep, as if someone is carrying you, someone very loving, very soft, very caring, is carrying you in his or her arms and therefore gives you only peace. He recollects, at the end of the story, he recollects the words, the thought, the proverb of President of America, Sir Franklin D. Roosevelt, that what is the proverb? All we have to fear in life is fear itself. So this became the guiding thought, the guiding light of William Douglas' life. He says that if we have to fear something in life, it's only fear. So be afraid of fear. Don't be afraid of anything in life. If you are afraid of fear, that means if you are able to conquer the fear of fear or the fear of death in life, you have conquered everything in life. As William had experienced death and also the fear of death, the desire or the willpower to live, to conquer this fear of death, grew immensely in him, and therefore he felt released from his fear. He was free to walk up the trails, to climb up the mountains fearlessly. So it was this experience that taught him to be fearless, to accept all challenges, to be free from fear, and to do whatever he was afraid of in life. So the lesson contains a very good message, a great message, that be free from the fear of death, or be free from the fear of fear. Have determination, have willpower, be courageous, learn to accept challenges in life, and nothing can affect your life. Nothing can stop you from taking challenges bravely. This was the last paragraph of the chapter. I would quickly recapitulate the main points. Longing of swimming revived again when he started learning at the YMCA pool. The fear of childhood incident. If you remember, when he was just 3-4 years old, he had gone surfing at the California beach. A big wave had submerged him in water. This fear of childhood followed him. The fear, and the next was the misadventure in water, the drowning incident when a big bully of boy had thrown him into the YMCA pool. He was almost drowned. This fear deprived him from swimming, fishing, canoeing, boating, rafting, bathing in the waters of the waterfalls. Finally, he was determined to defeat fear. He got an instructor for himself. The instructor used a rope attached to a belt that was put around his waist. The rope went through the pulley, and the other end of the rope was in the hand of the instructor to give the narrator confidence. This he practiced for weeks and months. He was able to overcome fear. He learnt exhaling, inhaling. He learnt these tactics, how to exhale and inhale while swimming. Initially, his legs would feel stiff, but gradually they got relaxed. They began to follow his command, his mind's command. Finally, he was given a clean chit by the instructor. That means the instructor said that he had become a good swimmer, that he had no doubt about it. He again tried swimming alone in the pool. Finally, all his fear was shed off or removed. He was able to release all his fear. So, the new winner in Douglas, he got a new experience. He went to the warm lake, Goat Rocks. He dived and swam across the lake for 2 miles. He conquered the fear of water. He realized after this experience that death is very peaceful. There is no fear in death, and it's the fear of death that makes us panic, that makes us frightened. These are some questions. How did William Douglas overcome his fear of water? So how did he do it? I've got the answers for you also. You can take screenshots. You can just take guidance from these answers. You can write your own answers based on the reading and understanding of the chapter. So what did William Douglas do? He took help of an instructor. He began to learn to swim. He put his head underwater, learned to exhale. He would come up and he would inhale. He kicked with his legs. He even swam in isolated or difficult waters to overcome his fear. This next question is very important. It's often asked as a 6 marks question because it contains the message of the story. What is the question? All we have to fear in life is fear itself. So elucidate this statement with examples from deep water. So I've got the answer for you. You can go through it. You can write your own answer. Now again I have summed down the points for you, that how did William Douglas learn with the help of instructor, how was he able to conquer his fear, and what did this experience teach him in life. This last paragraph is also an important question, that what did Douglas experience teach him in life, how did it influence his life. So it was a unique experience. It left a deep imprint on his mind. He could never forget it. But then it taught him an important lesson which had an significant meaning for him. He had experienced the sensation of dying. He had experienced that death from distance seems very fearful, but when you move closer to death, it's not at all fearful, it's very peaceful. It's merely like a long sleep where there is no fear, where there is no panic, where there is no doubt. It's only relaxation and nothing else. The difficult words that have been given in the beginning of the chapter, these I have brought for you. Treacherous. Treacherous means someone who cheats. So Yakima River, the narrator says that Yakima River was believed to be very treacherous. Treacherous means cheating. So why was it believed to be treacherous? Because even the best of the swimmers, they would be cheated, they would be drowned, there would be accidents even with most skillful swimmers, skillful water sportsmen. Subdued my pride, it has been used in the second paragraph of the chapter, where the narrator says that when he started learning swimming at the age of 10 or 11 in YMCA, he was shy of walking with naked legs, but he had to subdue his pride. Subdue his pride means he had to get over this pride and he had to move naked legs into the pool. He had to restrain the intensity of self-respect and confidence. Flail at the surface. What do you mean by to flail at the surface? To strike at the surface of water vigorously to try to come out. Fishing for landlocked salmon. Salmon is a variety of fish, and fishing for landlocked. Landlocked means a water body that is surrounded by land on all sides. Most probably it's not moving water, it's not flowing water, it's stagnant water, or maybe the water has been stopped by building boundaries. So fishing for landlocked salmon means catching fish in landlocked area. Which kind of fish? Salmon fish, a specific variety. Misadventure. What is adventure? Adventure is an activity which involves fun, excitement, experience, joy, challenges. Many things are involved in adventure, like trekking on the hills is an adventure activity, swimming is an adventure activity, mountain climbing is an adventure activity, rafting on the river is an adventure activity. But when during this adventure some kind of mishap, some kind of accident happens, it turns into a misadventure. Bob to the surface like a cork. This I had discussed in the first video lesson. Cork is wood-like material which is very light in weight because it has a number of pores. The chemical bottles in the labs in our schools, they are made up of the cap or the cover, it is made up of cork so as to allow air to escape from those chemicals. Cork ball is also used in cricket. So cork is very light, and if you throw a piece of cork in water, it takes fraction of a second to go down and come back. So he had thought, when he was thrown into the pool, he had imagined that he would come to the surface like a cork, but it did not happen. 9 feet seemed like 90 to him. It took him a long time to go down and then to come back. And during this long time, which seemed to him, actually it's the time that normally a thing or a person takes to go down and then to come back in water. So in this long time, he had gulped, he had swallowed a lot of water, and lungs were ready to burst. Curtain of life fell. Curtain of life fell. This also I had discussed in the first video lesson of this chapter. What do you mean by curtain of life fell? Means he felt his life was over. He was very near to death. So it was a close to death experience. Back and forth across the pool. Back and forth across the pool means to go forward and then to come back. To swim across the swimming pool from one side to another is known as back and forth across the pool. So thank you, children.